Yeah. What up? What up? It's Big Twins, aka the grimy one. Y'all know the Mobb Deep infamous clique. Yo, check it out, man. I want y'all to tap in to Cigar Talk Toronto, man. You know, they be putting it in, interviews and this and that. So check them out. Cigar Talk Toronto from Big Twin, y'all. You already know.
Welcome back. Another Saturday night. We are on the Block 105 radio. Special shout out to everybody that tunes in every Saturday. And we got another great episode for you, like always. And tonight we got Val and Rue from Haze, Cigars. And you guys are out of Pensacola, Florida, correct?
That's correct. Yep. Right in the panhandle.
All right. Well, welcome to the show. Welcome to the block. And how's your night going?
Yeah, it's going great. Thanks for having us. We're really excited to be on and sharing our story. And but tonight's been awesome. We stay busy with all our events and different things, but it's all in fun.
Perfect. Speaking of that, I'm going to jump right into it. So, how long have you had your brand Haze Gray Cigars?
We're going on 3 years now. We just had our second year anniversary. And things are steaming along pretty good. We're well ahead of the game than I thought we would be when I first started. But it's been an exciting ride.
So there's three of you that are into the brand, right? Do you all co-own the brand?
Yeah. So I started the brand April 1st of 2024.
Okay.
And so it was my idea. I was like just trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up, and the cigar brand sounded like the best thing. So once I got the ball rolling, got all the licensing, I knew I couldn't do it all by myself. It's just too much for one person, I think, in my opinion, especially having a 9 to 5 and everything. So at the time, my brother lived up in Massachusetts, about an hour south of Boston, but he would come down every winter. And so, he was here for the winter of 2024. I kind of told him what my ideas were, and he left. And I sent them samples, and he loved the samples. And he's like, "Hey, man, you got something really good here. I'm going to sell the house. And when I'm done selling the house, I'm going to come down and live in Pensacola." Our parents had just retired and moved down as well. And so he did. And I knew I wanted him on board right from the get-go, right? Just because we think a lot alike. We got each other's back. So I couldn't pick a better person to be on the team. So he came down. He became part owner. And then we started getting the ball rolling, right? We had our blends. We had our bands. We had our boxes. Everything looked great. But it was trying to get our name out there. So then along came Val, and she saw what I was doing on social media, which, I mean, me personally, I'd mess up stick figures. So I needed a lot of help. So Val came along, and she's like, "Look, I can help you. Trust me." And so she started doing a lot of the pictures, a lot of the content, videos, things like that. And we just started slingshot from there. So she became part of the team, and we've been streaming along ever since.
Rocking and rolling.
It's one of the things too, especially these days, like you were just saying, when it comes to putting together like the art and the graphics, a lot of people, that's what draws a lot of people in. And like even myself, I'm a very amateur with it. So it's something that I think is required, especially as you're trying to get your brand growing. So when you decided to start a cigar brand, how did you pick your first cigar? Like, what was the reasoning behind, okay, I'm going to start with this type of cigar, this type of leaf, this type of flavor note? Like, this is what was the the story behind the first cigar of your company.
Yeah, so the first cigar was a doozy. When I was on a cruise and I went down to the DR and saw some of the factories down there, and that's what really kind of set the hook. I was hooked from that moment on of starting my own brand. So the rest of the trip back to the US from the DR, I was just kind of researching how to start my own brand. And the first thing, of course, you got to find a manufacturer. So I found a manufacturer. And it was pretty much because I was so wet behind the ears and so green. It's like I took their word as a gospel, right? So I kind of told them what kind of notes I liked, the strength that I liked, and they kind of did a majority. They did probably 80%, 90% of the work. But sitting down with them, they just flat out told me, look, if you're going to be a brand owner, you got to stand out. You got to kind of have your own little niche. And so he said there's two rules. You got to learn how to roll. You got to have a cigar on you at all times. So I said the second one I can do really well. I can have a cigar on me at all times. The first one I'm not 100% sure about. So I went to the factory and was there for about 7 to 10 days just learning how to roll cigars. And it was at that point that I started kind of figuring out the blending process and what it takes. So then after like the other 6 cigars that we had in our first core line, we had a lot more of an involvement, right? We knew the tobacco that we wanted, the notes that we wanted, but it was all the same. I call it traditional tobacco, right? Nicaragua, DR, Honduras, Ecuador. Like we had some of the, I'll call it because of, and the reason I'm calling them traditional or your more traditional tobaccos is because our second core line is completely on the total end of the spectrum, right? Like the 2 core lines are night and day based off the tobacco that we're having access to, and we're a lot more involved with the blending process.
Okay.
We went down our new manufacturer, which is Rodriguez Olivan Cigar Factory down in the DR. His name is Ish. We actually went down to his house, and we left the hotel room, both my brother and I and Val, and we said to ourselves, well, we're going to walk out of here today with 2 blends to get the second core line going. A full 24 hours later, we walked out of there with 6 blends, all different notes from tobaccos, very exotic tobacco from all over the world. That's why I say it's traditional versus exotic now. And we were a lot more hands-on with picking the notes, picking the tobacco, picking the countries that we want the tobacco coming from. So we've got to enjoy both sides of the fence, right? The one that we were spoon-fed, and then the other one where we rolled up our sleeves and got right down and dirty, right?
Yeah.
So the first cigar that we released was our full body, which is the Brotherhood, and that packed a punch. I remember driving. I just picked up the cigars and I'm driving home and I couldn't stand it anymore. And I took one out of the box and I started smoking it. And I hadn't eaten since 8 o'clock that morning, and it was already 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to pull over because I thought I was having a heart attack. That thing punched me in the gut. I should have been in the ring with Mike Tyson. I felt like it was just beat me up and down that ring. And then that's when my brother and I sat down. We're like, we got to come up with something different because not everybody's a full body kind of person, right? So then the other blends started kind of trickling in.
Even if you are a full body person, sometimes you're just not craving that either. And I've had a few cigars that I thoroughly enjoy, but the odd time I actually get cigar sickness from them, and it's the same cigar every time that'll get me sick, but it's a really good cigar. It's actually the CAO Borealis, which is a Canadian exclusive one. It's actually made with Ontario tobacco, which I didn't think they made cigars with tobacco from up here, but apparently they do.
Yeah.
And it gets me sick probably 50% of the time. but I'm a
Yeah,
sucker
it's
for
amazing.
bourbon, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing like where you can find tobacco nowadays. Because our current manufacturer now, I mean, he can get tobacco from Antarctica,
Hmm.
right? Out of all places. I mean, I was shocked when he said that. He said there's a couple of families up there that are growing tobacco and they grow them in greenhouses and some of the better tobacco you can get your hands on. So, yeah, being up in Ontario, I'm sure they'll find a way to grow tobacco up there.
It's I'm heading down to Colombia soon, and they got some pretty good tobacco down there. There's certain regions that they grow it, and I'm very intrigued to try some of the Colombian puros that they got down there. It's
Yeah, you're gonna be.
something you don't see too much on the markets here, I would imagine, in the United States as well.
Yeah, on me personally, I don't know about Val, but I know me personally, I think the closest thing to Colombia I've had was the CAO Colombia.
Mhm.
And I can't think of any other cigar that I've had that's had Colombian tobacco in it.
And I think
Um,
that cigar only used, if I remember correctly, it was either the filler or the binder that was
mhm.
Colombian. It wasn't a through and through puro.
Right, right.
Um, that's a good line though. The CAO America, that's probably my favorite one from their their country line. Um,
Yeah.
now getting into the cigars, um, how much trial and error do you go through to pick a blend that you become confident to put to market?
Yeah. With us, it was a lot easier. The second core line was a lot easier. I mean, we did smoke a lot that 24 hours. I mean, it was one after the other. And Ish, I mean, he's got tobacco readily available at his house, and we just sat in his patio, and he would roll something, and we'd smoke it, and he would just watch us and judge what we were saying, what we were doing, what our reactions were, and then he would tweak it a little bit more. So he was picking up our palates individually, one by one, just picking us
Okay.
apart. So we did smoke a lot because you wanted to get it down to the notes that we wanted.
We probably smoked 20 different blends each day
Yeah.
when we were
Wow.
blending. So
That's a lot of cigars.
Yeah, yeah, and the great thing is, it's we could tell him, for example, the first cigar we released in January, um, with our new factory, we sat down and we told him, we're like, these are the notes that we wanted, or that we want, I should say, and it's based off of pastry that we used to eat as kids when my
Okay.
brother and I lived in Portugal, and we thought he was going to tell us there's no possible way. And I had my little notebook with all my notes and different, things that we wanted to talk about. And he started laughing. Like that wasn't even a challenge, that we were trying to get a cigar to taste like that pastry. And like Val said, that day we smoked a good 20 blends that he put together. And there was one that, I mean, he nailed it. He nailed exactly what the pastry tasted like. We get, some custard notes, some bready notes. You get cinnamon right at the very last bit of the cigar, because our dad taught us how to put cinnamon on top of the pastry and warm it up. It just tasted amazing. So we added a little bit of cinnamon to it, and it tasted great. And it was very, very identical to that pastry. So it takes a little while for me anyway, because we're all kind of particular in our own way.
Yeah.
So we did smoke quite a bit just to get it down to exactly what we wanted.
When you're coming up with your blends, are you thinking kind of like, is it like a 50-50 mindset of we want something that the general cigar smoker will be able to pick up and enjoy, but then we also want something that is what we would be looking for on the shelves?
Yeah. Yep. A lot of times when this one particular incident that we were down at Ish's house, we had the consumer hat on, right? It's not so much what we wanted and how we wanted it to taste. I mean, yeah, granted, we had some say in it, but we were always thinking about what would the consumers like this. or the consumer's going to want to buy this, right? So when we blend, and now we're working on a couple other blends, a couple other projects with Ish. It's always put the consumer hat on first. We want to make sure that we put out a good product, good quality product that the consumers are really gonna enjoy. I mean, at the end of the day, I say this all the time. It's, you know, the consumers are showing us the love and the support by buying our cigars, spending their hard-earned money on our product, and we want to make sure that they're getting the most bang for their buck.
So are your cigars available on your website, or do you have to go to specific retailers? And if so, where can people pick them up currently right now?
Yep. So we don't sell them on our website.
Okay.
We did at first, right? At first, we were selling our cigars, and it was going well. But as we were trying to get into lounges, a lot of the lounges were very skittish about bringing us on because we were direct competition with them, right? So we took the leap of faith and said, okay, we're going to pull all the cigars off our website, or not be able to buy them anyway, and just push everybody to the retail shops that are carrying our cigars. So folks can go on the website, look at the cigars, and at the very bottom of the page, there's authorized retailers. So they can go on. They can go on those the retail page and see exactly where the closest lounge is to them.
Okay.
If not, there's nobody around them, then they can go on fatboycigars.com and the Wolfpack Cigar Club. Those are the only websites that are carrying our cigars at the moment for folks that live, you know, halfway across the country or, you know, on the other side of the globe.
And those sites, they ship them out?
They do. Yep.
Okay. Perfect.
Yep. We make sure they're fully stocked.
What's so when it comes to you know, you're putting your cigar line out, how do you determine cost per stick? What goes into determining the value of what you're going to retail each cigar for?
Really, it's the tobacco that we're getting.
Okay.
Where the tobacco is coming from. There's certain countries that, of course, that's a lot more expensive, so that kind of makes the cost of the cigar a little bit more. But that really is the driving force, is where we're getting this tobacco from. For example, the first cigar from our second core line, the Irmãos do Mar, means Brothers of the Sea in English. That's got tobacco from Brazil, Portugal, the islands off the coast of Portugal, the Canary Islands, Zimbabwe, and Nicaragua.
That's the cigar I wanted to ask you about, because I was looking at your cigars earlier, and that is a very interesting blend right there.
Yes, and that's the one that actually tastes like the pastry, like I mentioned a little while ago.
Okay.
And so that's what I was trying to kind of lead to, was with the exotic tobacco. This next core line that we have tobacco coming from, of course, Portugal, Brazil, Spain, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Angola, Italy, Ireland. So there's a lot of tobacco from different countries, and that's why our second core line is going to be a little bit more, basically because of the countries that we're having to go to source the tobacco.
Okay. What tell everybody about your first cigar experience. The first time you smoked a cigar. What was it, and it's a question for both of you. What was it, an experience that you were instantly hooked on it, or was it one of those, you know, maybe I'll try it again just to see if I like it a bit better? What was your first experience smoking a cigar?
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
Mine was, I was a hairstylist for 26 years. So we did a lot of celebrating dinners, things like that with my boss, whatnot. So we would, you know, smoke cigars. So my first experience was, I used to smoke chocolate mint, Java mint. So I was more into the infused cigars. So it was more of a celebratory thing when I would smoke a cigar periodically through the years. So I liked them. I enjoyed them. It wasn't all the time. And then when I became part of Haze Gray, Pedro and Rubo told me if I'm going to do this, I've got to step up my game. So I have done the homework. I have followed suit, done my lessons, and I can say that my palate has grown. I smoke cigars at least every day. I'm all over, like whether it's mild to full body. I enjoy a full spectrum of cigars. I don't even want infused anymore. So I've broadened my palate. Thoroughly enjoy cigars. So I guess I could say that when I first started smoking years ago, I didn't enjoy it as much as I do now. Now that I've educated myself and I've dove into this industry, which I love, it's become more pleasurable for me to smoke cigars.
Yeah.
I enjoy it a whole lot more. I can appreciate it more now than I used to.
Yeah, my turn. Yeah, so I smoked cigars before I joined the military, but it was like far and few between. It was either a buddy's wedding or some type of celebratory event. It was very, very sporadic. It was when I joined the Navy that I can honestly say that's when I had my true first cigar experience. We were off the coast of Africa doing a mission. I was on the ship, and one of the SEAL teams was on our ship. And those guys, I'll never forget, they were getting ready to load up, and they had their gear. And one of them pulls out this gallon-sized Ziploc bag out of his pack, and they were right there by the fire truck that I was on. And I asked him, I said, "What is that?" He's like, "Oh, these are our victory cigars. You know, if everybody comes home, we all after the mission we sit around and smoke a cigar." He goes, "Have you ever smoked?" I was like, "Man, once in a blue moon, you know." And I got the $8 specials at the gas station or something.
Yeah.
He's like, "All right, well, we all come home, I'll come find you." And sure enough, they all came home that night or that evening. We shut down flight quarters, and he hunted me down. He said, "Come on, follow me." And he handed me a cigar. And some people remember their first cigar. I really can't. I can't remember really what even the band looked like. I was just in awe, right? That I'm sitting around with these guys, and they're asking me, "Hey, what do you taste? You know, what are you tasting at this moment?" I'm like, "Tasting tobacco." Like, I didn't know about notes. I didn't know about anything like that. And it was as I was in the military, and the more I smoked, and different guys that we would hang out, party, you know, go to house parties or whatever, we'd smoke cigars, where it really started evolving my palate, and never looked back. You know, like recently in 2024, I started getting into pipe tobacco, and that was a whole experience in itself. And that's kind of like what drew me even more down that rabbit hole for cigars.
Okay. I know we're separate countries, but thank you for your service. I appreciate it. I respect it. To all the vets out there and anybody that serves for your country, nothing but respect for you guys. So salute to all you.
It was an honor. Thank you.
So when you were serving and you had that victory cigar, where down the line did you start to get this idea that you wanted to get into having your own cigar business?
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't until about 2024.
Okay.
I always liked the lifestyle. I thought the lifestyle was really cool. You're hanging out at cigar lounges, even though I was very intimidated at first to go into a cigar lounge. And that's why both Val and I, my brother, we have a mobile cigar lounge as well. And we make sure that we welcome everybody. There's not a stupid question out there, right? And we don't make people feel dumb or insignificant when it comes to cigars, right?
Yeah.
And so it was right around 2023, actually. I'll take that back. I went to a cigar lounge with a couple of buddies of mine from the Navy. We just kind of a little reunion type thing, and we sat down, and the tobacconist at that cigar lounge really took the time to talk to us, and we met a
Yeah.
rep from another brand, and I was like, man, this would be pretty cool to have your own cigar brand, right? And then, like I said, at March of 2024 or February 2024, when I went on that cruise, it was all she wrote. At that point, I went peeking behind the curtain and watching what was going on in the factory and then making the cigars. I was like, man, this is really cool. There's so many different moving plates, but then when you get that final product and everything is done, it's definitely gratifying.
Yeah, the cigar community is great, man. It's people get into different hobbies, and even within those hobbies, there's a lot of division, right? Like for example, up here, when it comes to firearms, you get the people that love, the handguns, people that are just hunters, and they kind of disassociate with the others. But with the cigar community, it's probably the most understanding and inclusive community I've ever seen or been a part of, and it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you nailed it on the head. I always coming into it, I was very skittish, didn't know who to trust, who not to trust. Especially other, you look at business in general, you always have your competition, and there's some industries are very cutthroat, right? We have found that in this industry, there's enough business for everybody.
Yes.
And we have brands that are just as the same age, if not a little younger than us, maybe a little older than us, that come to ask us for advice, and vice versa. We've gone to other brands and sat down and talked and said, hey, what are you guys doing with this? What are you doing about this? Where are you finding, boxes, box manufacturer, anything that deals with cigars? And everybody's super helpful.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, we haven't had anybody that's kind of like shunned us or told us to kick rocks. Everybody's been really helpful.
Do you think that that's a new era industry? Because something I've heard is the cigar industry, in terms of the businesses, are very cutthroat. So when me personally, when I look at it, I separate the industry from the community, right? But then I've had the privilege to speak to a lot of cigar brand owners, some that are very new into it within the past 5 years, and they're very much on the same wavelength that you are, courteous, helpful, trying to help each other rise. But I've heard with some of the other ones, it's very, again, it's business. Everything is competition for them, and it becomes very cutthroat.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't experienced anything like cutthroatish.
Yeah.
I will say I think it is the new era. Because I'll just be a straight shooter, right? The smaller brands tend to stick together. It's like kind of like us against the world type thing, right?
Yeah.
We're just a little fish swimming around just trying to get our crumbs. And I've been told on numerous occasions, when you're a younger brand, a lot of people don't take you serious. They just think you're a fly by night.
Yeah.
It's not until about year 5 that the bigger brands, the medium and larger brands, kind of realize that you're there. And then it's about the 10-year mark that they actually pull out a chair and ask you to sit down at the table, right? And you get to talk. So dealing with a lot of the medium to large brands, I haven't dealt with any. Won't say I won't. I mean, we're all at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing, and everybody loves what they're doing, right? But I think it is that new era where the younger brands we're thinking outside the box.
Yes.
We're trying to be different, and we're kind of all on the same page. We're all kind of trying to get to the end goal, the same end goal. So we tend to help each other out a lot more.
And that's the key right there, is thinking outside the box, because there's a impression when it comes to cigars that it's a certain type of person that smokes cigars. But that's not the case. I mean, you could go to a construction site and see a guy on a dozer puffing a cigar. You could see the office worker come home, puff a cigar. Somebody like myself that, I'm in construction, I come home, I smoke cigars. And then your athlete smoking cigars to celebrate, your hip hop artist. So it's very widespread. And I think that that's where you guys are going to find a lot of good success, is thinking outside the box, because when you start to gravitate to other areas as well, you bring in more consumers.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And that was one thing when my brother and I, we started this journey. We sat down and we said, okay, we have our traditional tobaccos, our cigars. We're getting great reviews on our cigars, but we want to be different. How are we going to be different? How can we be different, right? Like, what are we going to have to do? And that's when we came across Ish, and he started talking about a lot of the tobacco that he's getting from, he gets tobacco from Transylvania, Croatia. Just crazy, right?
Yeah.
And my brother and I looked at each other and were like, this is it. This is how we can think outside the box, work outside the box, and be completely different than some of these traditional factories that are out there blending the same tobacco. So I think that was a good move on our part, being able to find someone that can get tobacco like that, because we are providing notes, a lot of notes that other cigar brands can't provide.
Yeah.
And so it's helping us kind of excel a little bit more.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, when I got into smoking cigars, I've only been smoking cigars for about a year and a half. And you get in, you hear the same typical three countries: Cuba, Nicaragua, Dominican.
Yep.
So, and then Mexico, Ecuador. And then, I came across a cigar from the Philippines. I was like, shit, I didn't know that they had cigars out there. They grew tobacco, and I tried it. Not bad. Not the best thing in the world, but
Yeah.
it's a cheapo, right? But then you start doing research, and you start finding that there is a lot of countries that do produce good tobacco. And I think that, and this is where, like, you're talking about the new brands, is a lot of the older brands, they don't want to evolve with
Right.
society, right? Where they have their recipe, and they won't alter it to make it better, because the recipe is the recipe. It's the traditional recipe. It's like grandma's recipe, right? You don't want to alter it, because so I think they're missing out a lot on what's happening and coming from the new world of cigars.
Yeah, with the recipe part, it's almost like smaller brands are going to have to force their hand at some point
Yeah.
to start thinking outside the box as well, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I smoke large brands, right? I'll smoke a Perdomo, I'll smoke a Padron, I'll smoke, the bigger brands, Drew Estate. But I'm finding myself gravitating more towards the medium to small brands because of the notes that they're producing.
Yes.
I can pick up, I can go out, and when I was in the Navy, I smoked a lot of Perdomos. Basically, Nick Perdomo was in the Navy guy. So, but I knew that as soon as I picked up that cigar, I knew exactly what I was going to taste, because it was the same kind of blends that he had throughout his core lines, and there was nothing exciting about it almost.
Yeah.
As I started gravitating towards the smaller to medium brands, it's almost like Christmas, right? When you got this big box nicely wrapped, you don't know what's in it, and you're just excited to get into it and rip the box apart. Same thing with a cigar, with the medium to small brands, right? You see the cigar, it's got a Habano wrapper, Nicaraguan filler, but you don't know what the notes, you don't know what you're going to be getting. And so that brings it brings more excitement. And I know Val's been the same way, as she told you, she was smoking a lot of sweet cigars.
Yeah.
My brother and I told her, hey, you're going to have to graduate. You're going to be working events and doing things like that. And she has. And now I'll sit back and watch her in the humidor and she bypasses anything with any type of infusion and starts hammering out full bodies, medium plus. Like it's just amazing.
And I find, like, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I find, like with what he's saying, I'm going to say boutique craft cigar brands, like I get more enjoyment out of smoking our cigars, and like we all support each other in this craft boutique world. And it's like you sit down and you smoke a new cigar, and it's like following those notes that you're getting as you go through each first, second, third of that cigar. Like it just constantly changes, and I find it exciting and enjoyable to sit there and what's going to come next, or taking notes on that cigar and learning that cigar and figuring like, which ones that I want to keep in my humidor, or which ones that I want to go back to and enjoy all the time. So it's just, I feel like it's more exciting with the new cigar blends and the new brands that are bringing out cigars, which we talk about all the time. It's just a different ballpark with all the new blends that are being created that are all of these new brands thinking outside the box.
Yeah. You know what? Every cigar has its person, its moment, its time, right? There's endless brands of cigars out there, and sometimes you try so many you can't even remember what they taste like. When you see them again, you go to a humidor and you see them saying like, I know I tried it, but I don't remember what it was like. So maybe I'm just going to go and get this one, because if you can't remember what it was like, maybe it wasn't that good.
Yeah.
And then there's some cigars that just hit you like, wow, flavor explosion. And that's what, like, especially for us up here, the average cigar price is $20 to $35.
Wow.
So and that's for, we'll say, an AJ Fernandez New World Puro. That's about $35. Just to give you a comparison, price wise. So when we spend our money up here, we got to spend it wisely, because to go and buy 4 cigars, that's $100 right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Now, do you guys have a lot of like boutique craft cigar brands up there, that you can have access to?
Not like boutique, not really. It's a lot more of the traditional. Again, the market up here is different. The taxation is heavy, 300%. The plain packaging, I'm not sure if you guys have know about the plain packaging. So every cigar that comes up here has to have a plain green band over the band that just pretty much is written what it is. So that increased costs as well. So when it comes to distributors, you're pretty much whatever the distributor brings in, that's pretty much your options. So there isn't a lot, like we don't have companies like yourselves up here where we can just go and buy from this lounge. Number one, we don't have lounges either. So we can't just go to a store and they're buying from you guys independently, because everything is through distributors. So it's a completely different world up here. The only way around the heavy tax and the plain packaging is if you get your cigars from native reserves, because they don't have to follow the regulations of the government. So typically I like to buy my cigars from the reserve because, number one, they're cheaper. I don't have to take the ugly band off or even look at it. I can put the cigars in the humidor, see the nice bands. We all love a nice band, right? And that's what I was going to ask you. How do you come up with the design for your bands?
Yeah, so we the bands, it's so funny. We took more time on the bands than we did on the blends. It was crazy. My brother and I kept going back and forth, back and forth. The first bands that we had our logo, and they were color coordinated, and they were very blah, just very plain. we're like, well, we're gonna have to step up our band game. And so, you know, being that I was in the military, our first core line, the bands are an actual dog tag.
Okay.
And then the sides of the band is kind of like a war scene, right? And we wanted the foil. We wanted, because we know that, you know, a lot of people shop with their eyes, right? If it's flashy, if it's eye catching, they'll gravitate towards it. And that's why we decided we're not going to go with the bands. We wanted to stand out, so we came out with the nice foil dog tag band. But then the boxes, the boxes or something. We didn't want to go black. We didn't want to go dark brown. We wanted to use colors that would stand out. And so we went with our first core line. They're gray boxes, but the inside we put inserts we want to tell our story through our cigars.
Yeah.
And the name of the cigar. So, for example, our Admiral, when you open up the box, there's an insert inside the box of a picture of Admiral Nimitz signing the ceasefire, the peace treaty there on the Missouri, and the Patriot cigar. We have a picture of the service dog monument here in Pensacola. So it kind of stands out, and people always look at the pictures. So we know, okay, we're keeping this idea here because it's eye-catching. Our second core line, the bands are a little different. They're not dog tags. For example, the Brothers of the Sea, the band is a nice gold band, but it's got the Portuguese flag and the Spanish flag. Because we're Portuguese, our manufacturer is Spanish. Both Spain and Portugal pretty much conquered the world in the 1500s, 1600s with the navigation. That's where it came. Brothers of the Sea. It was kind of like a collaboration between us and him.
Okay.
But the boxes, they're going to be green, blue, white, light blue. So the colors of the boxes are going to stand out when they're sitting inside the humidor, hoping that it kind of catches people's eye a little bit more. So that's really where our mindset was coming from. Was got to be flashy. It's got to be eye appealing to the consumers.
That's something that I've fallen victim for quite a few times, is just buying based upon the band. I don't care what it is. I like the band. I'm going to try it.
Mm-hmm.
I do that too.
Yep.
80% of the time it works out.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's been a few failures, but most of the time it works out, and it works. And it goes back to the same thing we were talking about earlier with the graphics with social media. That's what lures the eye and makes people click. Same thing with the cigars in the humidor. It's going to at least draw the attention to the name. So now somebody's going to know your name.
Yeah.
And even if they don't pick it up the first time, when they go back, they're going to see it sitting there again and go, you know what? I'm going to try that.
Yeah. That's it's good philosophy to have. It's working for us so far, so I think we're gonna continue with it for a little while anyway.
What so when you started your brand, what was something that in terms of obstacles that you had to overcome that you didn't foresee coming your way? What was something that hit you and you're like, shit, I got to figure this out, because it's either I figure this out or that's it. Was there any type of obstacles that popped up? Could have been, not knowing the amount of money that it takes to launch a brand, or dealing with getting your cigars into distributors, lounges, shops, whatever the case is.
Yeah, man.
We've only had one really big one. We've been lucky, knock on wood.
Yeah. She came in right at the moment that we hit that oh shit moment.
I had to dive in and put our heads together to fix a major issue. But
Yeah, we had to hit the panic button. 6 months in, we had another individual that wanted to be a part of the team. He was going to do all our our website and our designs, everything. And when it was coming time to pick a name for the company, we wanted to build a platform with our brand to help out the veteran community, right? I'm a huge believer in vets helping vets.
Yep.
It's a brotherhood when you're active duty, but it's even a bigger brotherhood when you get out of the military. We all kind of tend to stick together and help each other out quite a bit. And so we came up with War Dogs because we were going to donate money to organizations that provided service dogs to veterans. So War Dogs was the name of our company. And the guy that was on board gave us a thumbs up. He goes, I checked the web. I checked everything. War Dogs is available. Okay. So we got an attorney to start trademarking. And within seconds, he called, we're on the phone. Within seconds, he comes back at us and says, I hate to break it to you, but there's already someone trademarked the word War Dogs. I'm like, well, what if we spell it dogs differently? He's like, nope, not going to do it. So, and the thing was, it's a box manufacturer out of overseas somewhere that trademarked the word War Dogs in the cigar category. And we already had merch, everything, stickers, patches, you name it, right? Now we have to audible and figure out, oh God, what are we going to do, right? People are already starting to know us as War Dogs, especially here in our area.
Yeah.
So that was the first one that we had to overcome. Luckily, we were only 6 months in, so we still had time to rebound from that. And it wasn't like we were 4, 5, 6 years in, and all of a sudden we got a cease and assist, right?
Yeah.
So it was an oh shit moment, but at the same time, it gave us time to rebound. And then the other thing was the bands. The bands, we thought we were dealing with a company here in the U.S., but they kind of pulled the wool a little bit. The bands were actually coming from China.
Okay.
So when we were launching our cigars with our new dog tag bands, they were held in customs. They were delayed. So it was like almost a week. We were dead in the water for, I'd say, almost a week and a half with no bands. And that's when we kind of started figuring out, wait a minute, these guys, I'm emailing them at 8 a.m. here, and I'm not getting a response until 11 o'clock at night. And my phone was going off at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what's going on? So that's when we came to figuring out that they were coming out of China. So like, okay, we need to find another band manufacturer, hopefully one here in the U.S. that can help us, and we did. So starting the brand, those were the first two moments that caught us by surprise and off guard a little bit.
So if you were to give some advice to somebody that's getting into any type of branding, really, what would be, before you sink any money into it, do your research, make sure that your logos, your names, where your stuff is going to be coming from is actually coming from there. Iron out all those details first before you dive too deep into it.
100%. 100%. If we decide to start off another venture, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to research the heck out of everything first before pulling the trigger and going with something, just, I guess you could say, fly by the seat of our pants. Definitely my advice to anybody out there listening, research 100%.
So, but it shows adversity, right? You come across an issue and you either look at it like, okay, this is a problem. Okay, I'm going to retreat, or you look at it as a solution base and there's a solution to every problem.
Yeah.
Like in your case, you have the product, you got a great product. Okay, you just got to come up with a different name. Now, how did you go from War Dogs to Haze Gray Cigars?
Yeah. So we, our mentality is, we want to be a cigar brand first, right? We want to put out a good product. We want our cigars to speak for themselves. It just so happens that we're veteran owned, right? We don't want to hang our hat just on us being veterans and we're putting out dog rockets. So we wanted to kind of keep a military-ish name. And in the Navy, Haze Gray is a term that we use when we're heading out to sea, to go on deployment or to go on workups. We'd always tell the younger guys when we harass them, because a lot of them didn't want to go out, even though they joined the Navy, they didn't want to go out on 6-month deployments. They didn't want to go out on workups. So we'd always tell them, hey, get ready. We're going Haze Gray and underway. So Val was the one that was like, hey, what about Haze Gray? I'm like, no, that's a good idea. And I threw a few names out there. My brother threw a few names out there, but we kept going back to that Haze Gray. And I told him the story of what Haze Gray meant, and it stuck.
It's an interesting name, and I was curious about that myself. That's why I was curious how you came up with that name. Now, going to Val, being a woman in the industry, do you ever get any rejection because some people may view women as not as knowledgeable or experienced when it comes to cigars? Or has times changed a bit in the cigar industry where it just your approach based upon your knowledge and that's it? The body is irrelevant.
Especially here, like I was gonna say it when you were talking about different categories of people in the cigar industry. It's become very more stoked with women in the cigar industry, especially here, like in the US. We're finding that there's just a lot of women that are getting involved in cigars, which we're trying to cater to that. I'm trying to do a lot of women's things, women's events, kind of spin off, which we have the Haze Gray Vixens that is kind of at a standstill. We're building on that because we're trying to get Haze Gray and all of that rolling, but we're finding that a lot of women are getting involved in smoking cigars, which we try to do as far as Haze Gray is create an environment for women, educate them, teach them where they feel comfortable going into lounges and learning cigar etiquette so they can smoke cigars and go into a lounge and sit there and feel confident, because a lot of women enjoy going in, grabbing a wine, grabbing a cocktail, and having a cigar. So we're trying to educate women and cater to that. So yes, I feel times have extremely changed as far as bringing women into the cigar industry. I know when we're at events and things, because all three of us are CCS certified as tobacconists. So when we do weddings and things, he's rolling. I'm the certified tobacconist doing cut and lights for our events. So I feel that people walk by and probably see me standing there smoking a cigar, and then I've learned from Rue and Pedro, and they can leave me at our tent, in our lounge, whatever, and I can hold my own and handle everything, and they can walk away and leave me there knowing that I'm confident to run all things without the two of them being around. And I feel like sometimes it kind of knocks people off guard, and they're like, well, wait a minute. And they'll actually come in and be like, I'm coming over here because of her sitting there smoking a cigar confidently. So we've had friends in the industry that have said, like women who own cigar lounges that have had some people come in that have had issues that we've talked about and discussed, where, people are still in that mindset of, you're a woman, you don't know.
Yeah.
Us personally, we haven't dealt with that. I mean, one day in the future when we have a lounge, we might have that issue arise, but so far, luckily, I haven't had to. It's been more intriguing to people, I feel like, that I do know the industry and I know what I'm doing and I know what I'm talking about. So I feel like that's getting more prevalent across the board for women to be in this industry.
It is, and it's eye-catching too when you see a woman smoking a cigar and she knows how to smoke a cigar. I think it's a lot more appealing to the times right now, and especially for your brand, right?
Right.
To have a woman out there representing your brand, being able to cut a cigar properly, light it properly, whichever that may be. There's all different rules and guidelines. And smoke it and not be choking on it like she's just doing it for the show, right?
Yeah.
And it's definitely a key feature to having a brand, I believe.
Yeah, and it's funny, my brother and I have both been on the other side of the fence, meaning like we've had people or women that have come into our mobile lounge and my brothers helped him out, and he took them to the infused cigars on the sugar tip. And one woman looked at him and even asked, "What makes you think I want an infused cigar?"
Yeah.
My brother's like, "Oh, okay."
She was like, I smoke full body.
I smoke full body. My brother was like, "Man, I was kind of turned on, but at the same time, I was embarrassed, you know."
Yeah.
So we learned our lesson quick. Like when a woman walks in there,
You don't ever,
we introduce our entire
you never assume.
line, but we
Yep.
never assume anymore.
Yeah.
Exactly. And on that note, we're about to cut out on the block. We're going to keep it rolling for YouTube a bit longer, though. Let everybody know where they can find you on all your socials, your website.
Yep. So on Instagram, we're under Haze_Gray_Cigars. On Instagram, on Facebook, it's Haze Gray Cigars as well. My brother handles TikTok. I don't know what we are on TikTok. I don't see TikTok.
We have Haze Gray Cigars on TikTok, and we have Haze Gray Vixens on TikTok. Our website is www.hazegraycigars.com, which you can find all of our blends, and then also we have 2 online retailers, Fat Boy Cigars, Wolfpack Cigar Club. So if you click on those links, when it takes you to authorized retailers, it will take you straight to our actual Haze Gray link with those online retailers that you can purchase our cigars from.
Perfect. And again, we appreciate you guys joining us on the block. Till next week, we'll see you guys. We're out. Peace.
Thanks.
And so curious about TikTok, because I have a TikTok and it's very restrictive.
Yes.
So how do you guys manage your TikTok? Because, like, for example, the only thing I put on TikTok is promos for the episodes. I won't put anything about cigars on there because it's an instant yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
You have to be very careful. Even your graphics, if you've got, you have to be careful with the word cigars, the word smoke, even your pictures. Like you can put a picture of you smoking a cigar, but if you put a graphic of a cigar burning, it's a fine line between what's accepted and what's not. A lot of the write-ups is hard when you use more of an emoji. Instead of putting the word smoke or the word cigar in there, anything that's leading to, even if you're putting bourbon or a cocktail, it can flag you for your cigar code. So I don't really do a lot of write-ups on TikTok. I do more of the reels and the graphics. You're going to get through more of your post caption write-ups are more acceptable on Instagram. Even Facebook is a little bit more difficult as getting violations for what you write on Facebook as well. So you just have to be really careful. And there's a fine line between what's acceptable.
Which is weird because Facebook is the same company as Instagram. So you would think that they would kind of be more in line with what you can put on Instagram, but that's not the case. Again, I'm on Facebook too, and I don't put any effort into it because I'm already restricted. So
right.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's the Instagram's almost like the wild, wild west. You know, they don't ding us on a lot. It's Facebook and TikTok that are constantly at it.
It's really because you're dealing with a product that can't be sold to underage. So that's where you have to be very specific about what you're saying. And I find TikTok is the worst, actually. And you would think it would be the most lenient with what else is floating through your feed on TikTok. But I don't do a lot of write-ups on TikTok. I find that more stuff is accepted through your story on TikTok if you post it on your story as opposed to your wall. But like I said, there's stuff that I think would be fine when I put it up and I get a violation. So I take it down. But I create a lot of stuff through TikTok and then transfer most things through Instagram because that's the more open, free form.
yeah.
So it's a learning curve, and you just got to figure out a creative way to get your story across. But I find TikTok is more just using graphics and reels
Yeah, even like for example, for us up here on Instagram, we're heavily, so we fall under different regulations being in Canada.
Yeah.
That's why, like, say for example, like if we were to do a live and I was broadcasting on Instagram from Canada, I would not be able to promote your cigars and say, where can you buy them? That would be an
Right.
instant flag, and that would, go against my account. So that's why, number one, I don't do anything live. And that's why I like being on the block radio, because now it's like that that route around the obstacle where
Yep.
we could have people like yourself on, advertise your brand, and even though it's still getting heard in Canada, it's not falling under the regulations of the Canadian government yet.
Right.
They're working on it. They're trying to control everything, but that's why I do everything the way I do it, because we can essentially say whatever we want, promote what we want, and not have to worry about it getting taken down.
So we are also, and this has been a great, it's been one of the best things that I'm going to tell about the TPA.
Yeah.
So we're members of the TPA, just Tobacco Products Association. So with that organization, we all come together weekly, do a Zoom to talk about these issues and all of these things that come up as far as the cigar brand, cigar industry, like what to do, what not to do, what we're struggling with, what we're not. So the TPA has provided websites, CRM systems, programs that we're utilizing that help us to get around all of those issues. So we're using different platforms. Yes, we're getting our name across through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, but we also have different platforms through the TPA. Also, our organization of the TPA with consumers, cigar businesses, brands, podcasts that come in. So we work within that organization all together, but we have all things cigars. So they've created a platform like where we can go in and create our own, what would you call it? Like your own website where all of those things are allowed and we're not restricted. So we can put like all the postings that I put on Facebook, Instagram. I go into our All Things Cigars and I post all things. And it's put out to the cigar industry, to aficionados, to businesses, to brands, to podcasts. And we all put our stuff on there as far as each individual brand business. And we're not flagged. And it's an open forum where we can freely post whatever and we don't get violations for it. So that's been a plus, and it's been one of the best things that we joined as a cigar brand.
Yeah.
Because we're finding ways around all of that BS that we have to deal with every day. And that's been great for us.
Do you guys spend any time kind of pre-planning just in case? And I'll give you an example. I was telling, I don't know who responds on your Instagram, but I was telling you guys about, so in the UK they did a generational tobacco ban. So they, once the UK does it, Canada's next in line. So now they're talking about doing a generational tobacco ban here. Do you guys look at things going on around you and go, you know what, maybe we should put a plan in motion just in case something like that were to happen here, that you would already have a plan around it?
Yeah, that's and yes. Let me say it that way. The TPA is actually one of the other reasons we joined the TPA is because they teach us a lot about the legalities as well, right? Mm-hmm. From some of the new laws that are coming down, some of the, when the tariffs, when, we were putting tariffs on everybody and anybody, what to charge, what not to charge, like kind of just educating us on how to maneuver. And that is one of the things that we were talking about offline after a TPA class was those age bands that some of the states here are doing now. I think I might have mentioned it to you.
Yeah.
Like New York is trying to pass it right now. Massachusetts has already passed it. California. So we're starting to talk to them and say, okay, how can we work around this? It's almost like, the FDA, ATF, they're always trying to like handcuff us, and they're always trying to throw roadblocks. And thankfully for the PCA and the larger brands that are shelling out all that money to keep us free from doing what we need to do, it's a way of the government to say, okay, you won this battle. Well, we're going to get you down the road. We're going to put age bans. So by the time these people that are like, if you're 23 and younger, you'll never be able to buy tobacco ever again, right? So it's going to hurt us down the end at the end of the road. Like when these people start getting into their 30s, 40s, 50s, and they still can't buy tobacco, it's like, holy cow, right? Like, how's this going to work? So we're working around it, and we're trying to put stuff in place to kind of figure out how to maneuver through that, because it's a pain. I revert back to, I can't speak for every country, but especially here in the U.S., it's okay at the age of 18 to sign the dotted line and go fight for our country. But at 18, you can't have a beer and you can't have a cigar. To me, that's BS. And we live in a very, very heavy military community. We have, just in the panhandle of Florida alone, we have 8 military installations. And I look at these kids and I'm like, man, here you are getting ready to get shipped out and go on deployment, but you can't even buy one of our cigars to celebrate graduating your school.
It's really messed up. Like, and again, going back to the age, like you can go to war and kill people. You as an 18-year-old can go into the porn industry and completely expose your body and your personal, but you can't smoke a cigar and you can't have a beer. Like it just it make sense. You know what I mean? Like you would think it would be the other way around.
Yeah, you would think that, but it sucks. I hate it. I hate it for them.
And you know what? They're slick with it, because I'll give you an example what they did up here with the firearms. So they did a handgun ban up here. So now you cannot buy any more handguns. What you own, you can use, you can bring them to the range. But once you die, you can't pass them down to somebody else, even if they are a license holder. So eventually, once this generation that owns these handguns, once they die off, they're gone. So they don't outright ban it, but they prevented you from carrying it further into the next generation. And it's the same thing, again, what they're going to do with the tobacco. And, I sit here and I look at, a cigar. There's no chemicals to it. You don't inhale them. If anything, it gives you more peace and relaxation in life to help you live longer. But they'll put all these chemicals in the food, and that's okay. But you can't, they want to take away this.
Yeah.
And he says it all the time. It's like when you're talking about cigars, tobacco, and cigarettes and vapes and all these things, they need to be separated, because you can't even compare the two.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
No.
It's and we have our cigars. There's a couple of smoke shops, vape shops that carry our cigars, and they're moving very well in these. I mean, they have walk-in humidors in these shops. But I've sat there and I've been helped them inventory our cigars, and as I'm watching the clientele walk in, I mean, it's a multi-million-dollar business. I mean, these kids are buying vapes by their flavored cartridges
full of chemicals
by the handful. I mean, 2, 3 cartridges at a time. And I'm like, man, this is insane. And we know it hasn't been proven, I don't think. So I don't want to misspeak, but they've come to realize it's causing damage, right, to your lungs. But it's okay. But these right here, that has guys that have had high blood pressure, and as soon as they started taking up smoking cigars, they're no longer taking blood pressure medicine, and the blood pressure is fine. It's just an escape. It's relaxing. It's a hobby. It's an escape from your day-to-day stresses. I smoke cigars every single day, and if I know it's going to be one of those days, I'll smoke like a light body Connecticut shade with my coffee just to get my mind right, because I know it's going to be one of those days, and I can start my day off peacefully, right?
Yeah.
And I end the day with a cigar. So um, to me, I love it. I love the cigar industry, period, but just cigars in general. It's an amazing thing.
Not only that too, it's such a good conversational hobby. I'll get, for example, my wife smokes cigars with me. And that's essentially how the whole podcast thing started, because we started smoking cigars and we would sit down and have such great conversations that, go all over the place. You never know where they're going to go. But it was such great conversations full of depth that we probably wouldn't have been having if we weren't sitting down, relaxing with a cigar. The phones go down. We're not sitting here like this, and we're actually engaged. And my personal opinion, this is me saying this, they want to take away that human connection with people. They want everybody doing this all the time.
Yeah.
They want everybody so glued to the thing that they can control. Whereas you go sit down in a lounge with a cigar, they can't control that conversation. They can't filter it. They can't restrict it.
Yep.
And my opinion, they're taking steps to get rid of the human interaction that we have through various types of hobbies.
Absolutely.
We actually, and I'll use it, and we weren't even in a cigar lounge. It was a wedding that they hired us to go and roll cigars, do like a cigar bar. And we got there and we drove up to the venue, and there was a Zamboni parked outside in front of the venue. And I looked at Val and I was like, man, this guy's got some connections. He's got a Zamboni parked out front. And when we got there, the wedding was already going on. And I looked through the window and they had the official Alabama mascot inside the wedding dancing, because one of them was an Alabama graduate. And I'm like, oh my God, these guys got some connections. Well, come to find out, the groom was the owner of the minor league hockey team here in Pensacola.
Okay.
And as the night went on, people came up and they started talking to us, and we were having a great conversation. Well, it was the commissioner of the league. And now he just ordered a box of cigars from us so we can ship them up to him up in North Carolina. And then we met a few other guys. One person was the captain of the base. Another one was, an NHLer. Just never in a million years that would I be able to sit down and talk to the commissioner of a hockey league, or the owner, or even heck, an NHL player that we were sitting there smoking a cigar talking to him. Right? It just it brings people from all walks of life together. A common thing, which is a cigar, right? And we just sit down and we have an everyday life conversations. What we like about cigars, what they like about cigars, what they like about, what they do and what we do. And it's just a great thing. It just opens up doors.
Do you find the conversations are more retro? And what I mean by that is, we live in a time right now where if you were to go have a conversation with somebody and you don't see eye to eye, it's automatically you versus them now. Whereas, you go back to like the 80s and the 90s, you could sit down and have a conversation with somebody. You might not see eye to eye on certain things, but you could still have a civil conversation, talk about why you see things this way or whatever the case is, and not walk away hating each other. Do you think that with the cigars, that kind of brings you back in time a bit to that time where conversations were just conversations and everybody's entitled to their opinion, and, to each their own, and you could still sit there and say, all right, cool, I'll see you tomorrow, even though you didn't see eye to eye in that specific conversation?
Yeah, 100%. I'll give you one example. You guys watch the news up there, on the U.S. We're very divided when it comes to politics. Everybody's very divided. Either you're left or you're right, and there's no in between.
Yeah.
And you can sit down and you can be a Republican and talk to a Democrat. You would never know.
Yeah.
Right. You're having a great conversation and you're like, man, that's a cool dude, or that's a great chick right there. We just had a great conversation with these people, and then you walk out of that lounge and it's all of a sudden you go to your corner, I go to my corner type thing. But while you're having that cigar and you're in that lounge, it's just two human beings just talking and having a great conversation and about where they came from and stories from when they grew up. And you have a lot of, you notice, man, I got a lot of common with this guy, right? And you're looking forward to seeing him at the lounge next time you go in there. It's like I said before, it's an escape, and it's a great escape.
And again, exactly what you're saying. It's the same thing up here. Everybody is you're either this or this, and I look at it like, you're being loyal to somebody that doesn't even know you exist.
Yeah.
To a plan that they're not even considering the general population in. So why go to war with other civilians over people that just don't give a shit about you? I can't grasp it. I can't understand it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It makes no sense. And like, so with all the recent stuff going on, Canada, USA, all the tariffs and stuff. So essentially what they did, this makes no sense. So they'll keep American produce in the grocery store, but they took the American alcohol off shelves. So we can't buy any alcohol that comes from America. And now because of all the tariff battles, et cetera, I don't know why, but people are soured on Americans. And it's like, how can you hate on a population for the decisions of a government?
Right.
Like, I've seen people up here with stickers, fuck the USA, and I'm sitting here, I get offended by it because I love America. I mean, if I could live there, I would. And, my viewership base is America. They're the ones that support me the most, not Canada, America.
Yeah.
And you're sitting here judging people based upon politicians, and it's like, why? Like at the FIFA opening ceremony here, they booed the American national anthem. I find that highly disrespectful. To boo any national anthem, I think is very disrespectful. Especially somebody that we've had such a good relationship with for so many years. And number one, probably kept a lot of countries from taking us over because, I mean, let's face it, our military is very small. Why all of a sudden the hate? Okay, you don't like, cool, but that has nothing to do with the people of the country.
Right. Yeah. I it's so funny. I noticed that quite a bit. I think I mentioned to you, I have family that lives in Montreal, the Quebec area. And we'd go up there in the summertime or certain holidays that we'd have here in the US. It was like an 8-hour drive for us from Massachusetts to Montreal.
Yeah.
But it would be the longest weekend for us because the Montreal, the Quebecers, or whatever you want to call them, like they would treat us like crap. They wouldn't speak English. They only spoke French. Like, and it was just like, but like going to Toronto, going to Calgary, Vancouver, it was like night and day, right? Everybody was friendly. They treated us nicely. Like, but this was early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s that we were going up there to visit. So it was a different time. Now it's just, like you said, you got stickers and whatnot. It's kind of weird.
And I'll tell you this about Quebec. They're in their own little bubble there. They don't like anybody else in Canada. So it's nothing against, like, so I'm not defending them. I'm just saying when you were there and treated like crap, that's just the way they treat everybody. That's just what it is. I don't go to Quebec. I avoid it. I don't go there. If I could jump over it to go to the next province, I would.
My cousin, he lives up there, and he'll be listening because I told him we were going to be on. And I remember being a young kid, he used to say that don't take offense to it. They hate everybody. Like they don't like. And my cousin travels Canada a lot because of the line of work he's in. And he goes, you go west, and it's a whole different atmosphere over there. It's quite different. I'm like, all right, I believe you. And he was right.
Now, getting back into your cigars, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years in terms of your growth? Do you have any plans to go international, let's just say Canada, for example, or any other country beyond that?
Yes, absolutely. So in 5 years, we definitely see ourselves in a lot more lounges. Our goal is to be a household name. We're not just doing this to make a quick buck and then leave. We're trying to create a legacy. We have been approached by a few people in Portugal, where we're from, that would love to have our cigars there because, and we've researched. And I think we're the only Portuguese nationality, I guess you could say, that has a cigar brand. And so there's been people over there that have asked us to mail cigars to our family that still live there and then have them ship it to them inside the country. And I was like, I don't know about that. So we are considering looking into distributing into Europe and into Canada. I mean, my cousin, he comes down to the U.S., or if one of his coworkers comes down to the U.S., we'll ship them cigars because I guess they can only bring in 25. We'll ship them 25 cigars, and then they take it to them when they go back to Montreal. So yeah, definitely hit the worldwide scene for sure in 5 years.
I think the max you can bring into Canada is 50, but that's after I think a week. Don't quote me on that. There's certain 24 hours, 48 hours, and then there's like a week and beyond. It maxes out at 50, which I mean is really not that many cigars.
Not really, yeah.
For us it is, because to buy 50 cigars here, that's probably $2,000. Depending on the cigars you buy, like especially the Cubans up here. I don't smoke Cubans. I think they're overpriced and overhyped.
Yes.
I stay away from them. I don't find anything appealing about them flavor wise. And that was going back to what I was saying about the traditional recipes, right? They don't want to grow beyond. But then there's also, I have heard things about the industry in Cuba where, so from what I've been told, and again, educate me, when you harvest, you have to let your fields rest for a year before you can harvest again. But whereas in Cuba, they can't do that because the economy is so bad, they have to just harvest. And then also China gets first grabs on all the Cubans. So we essentially get the leftovers, and a cheap Cuban cigar, $50, $60 for a cheap Cuban cigar.
I couldn't hear you. What was that?
I said a cheap Cuban cigar is about $50-$60. You're not going to get anything less than that for a cheap Cuban. Anywhere up to, the average like Cohiba, $130 and up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's a lot of money to smoke in an hour.
For something that you don't really enjoy.
Yeah.
So I had Todd from Croatia Mafia Cigars, he was up here in February. We did an episode. He came up and he bought some Cubans. And he had never smoked Cubans. So we're sitting here and he lit one up and he's smoking it. And he's like, I can't believe I just paid all this money for these things because I can't stand them. He wanted to leave them here because he just didn't want them.
Yeah. That's crazy. Our manufacturer, He's a U.S. citizen, Spanish citizen, and a Dominican citizen. And so his factories, he's got 5 or 6 factories. Three of them or 4 of them are in the DR, and the rest are in Africa. And so he will go to Cuba and not buy the seed, but he buys the actual tobacco.
Okay.
And then ships them over to the DR, rolls all the tobacco in the DR, and then ships them here to the US. And his cigar is called the BTC. It stands for Better Than Cuban. And it's an amazing cigar. It is absolutely, hands down, probably one of his better cigars that he's got. And, you know, when we have our mobile lounge out, we always get got any Cubans? Where are your Cubans? Like, come on, man, you know we can't have Cubans. But now we're starting to carry other brands in our mobile lounge. Because when we first rolled out the mobile lounge, it was more just to help us promote our cigars here in the local area. And it just blew up. And we're nonstop. Every weekend we got something going on. But we talked to them and said, hey, we want to carry that BTC in our mobile lounge. We got, I think it's like 2 or 3 bundles heading our way. So we can start selling them in our mobile lounge. So for those guys that come in and say, you got any Cubans? As a matter of fact, we do. Here you go. You know, it's actual Cuban tobacco.
There you go. And it's a loose.
But yeah, like I'm not a big fan of Cuban cigars. And quite honestly, I think between Nicaragua and the DR, they blow Cuba out of the water.
Yeah.
I mean, the tobacco and the cigars that are coming out of those 2 countries, hands down, are probably some of the best cigars you'll ever get.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Talking about Cubans for a second, as somebody that is in the industry, what is the reasoning why Cubans do the double binder?
That Cubans what? I'm sorry?
The Cubans, so when they do their cigars, they have their filler and they do a double binder. Do you know why they do a double binder?
You know, it's funny. We had this conversation the other day, and I asked Ish about the double binder, and he can't recall them ever using a double binder. He doesn't understand where that came from. Me personally, I don't see the necessity of a double binder.
Yeah.
I think one does the job perfectly fine, but yeah, I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Even the fake Cubans do the double binder, because I've cracked some open to see, and they have the double binder.
That's crazy. I don't know. Do not know.
I got one more question before we cut out, and I've always been curious about this, and I've never gotten an answer. And I don't know if it's a secret, if you can say or not, but you were going back to the flavors and adding the flavors to the cigars. How do you get these flavors in the tobacco, like the leather, the spice, the pepper? Like how do you get these flavors in that specific cigar?
It's really from where the tobacco is grown. The soil plays, and the water plays a huge factor in the flavor, the notes that you get in the cigar. And then it really it goes even further on the placement of the leaves when you're actually rolling the cigar.
Okay.
For example, when we were working on our blends for our second core line, we came up with 6 cigars. Was it 6 or 9? 9 cigars, 9 different blends with the same 3 leaves. Right? And it's all in the placement of the leaves.
Okay.
And how you rotate the leaves, right? So you got the top and the bottom, and if you switch that leaf around and you put the top of the leaf towards the foot and the bottom of the leaf towards the head of the cigar, it changes the cigar completely, and you get different notes. A lot of the leaves, you know, you think I'm going to put these 3 leaves together and it's going to make an amazing cigar. That's not true, right? Some leaves work well together, some counteract. So really, it's where you get the tobacco from and how you place it when you're blending your cigar.
Now, like for example, I picked up this cigar and, it said it had notes of apricot. Where's the apricot flavor coming from? Like, how did it get into this cigar? This is what I want to know. Number one, I didn't notice any apricot flavor, because if I did, I probably would have put it out because I don't like apricots. But where is this? Is this just like something that they're saying is in there just to kind of glorify the cigar? Or is there some way they're getting these apricot notes in the cigar?
Me personally, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So working with our blender, we call him the cigar Jesus. He will blow your mind. Like, you can sit with him and he will tell you stuff, and he's just so knowledgeable. But it's like, when we were blending with him, he wouldn't say anything. He wouldn't tell us. Like, I would ask him, what notes am I going to get out of this? He's like, I'm not going to tell you. He said, because if I sit here and say to you, you're going to get, let's say, fig and apple or whatever. He said, when you start smoking that cigar, I've already put that in your conscious mind that's the notes you're going to get. He said, so I basically ruined that cigar for you, whether that note's in it or not, because that's what you're going to taste. So he won't say anything, and he'll just sit there. And that's, like Bruce said, he was picking up our palates. Like, he was watching us as we were smoking, learning our palates. And then he would roll and hand something to me and be like, you're going to like this because I've watched you and I know what tobaccos you're resonating with. And he would give it to me and then ask me what notes I was tasting. So like, and we sit here on podcasts and listen to people rating cigars, and it's like the notes that people get out of cigars, it blows my mind, because it's like those notes, there's really only a few basic notes that you can get out of a cigar, out of tobacco, which is ginger, pepper. Like, there's really not cinnamon. You're getting ginger. It's the ginger that you're getting out of the tobacco leaves. So when you look at a cigar box, like, I've gotten away from reading them, because you'll read a cigar and it'll be like, you're going to have notes of apple and fig and pear. Well, when you smoke that cigar, you've already read that. So in your mind, you're chasing those notes. So they're going to be there. Or, he's taught us that when you're smoking a cigar, some of those notes you're getting might be a childhood nostalgia that you pick up on, that's reminding you of that flavor note of fig or cocoa or espresso, like in those notes that you're getting. But it's really boils down to those few basic notes that you really only get out of tobacco. So I feel like it's more of like what you're told, and that's in your mind. So when you're smoking that, so we try to be really adamant about when we're smoking stuff. Like, we had a podcast the other day and people were asking about bourbons pairing. We don't drink with cigars. Like, we sit down and smoke a cigar with a cigar, because I feel like things that you're adding can, yes, pick up those notes, but they can also can ruin the true notes of a cigar that you're.
Yeah, it definitely changes it. Like I've sat here with my wife and we've shared a cigar. I'll be drinking whiskey and she'll have some red wine. She'll be like, this cigar is horrible. I'm like, this is fucking amazing. So it definitely, and again, going back to coffee, right? If you have a black coffee, that could really ruin a cigar, depending on the cigar you're smoking.
Yep.
Because that strong flavor just takes over in your mouth, and nothing else will penetrate that flavor of that coffee.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we kind of chuckle a little bit when we're smoking with friends or discords or whatever, and someone's smoking a cigar and they say, man, I just tasted a cherry lifesaver. Like, what? I'm not picking that up, right? And I'm thinking maybe it was something that he ate or something that he drank. But the other day we were sitting in our patio and she was smoking a cigar, and she's like, here, try this cigar. And so I took a couple of puffs or draws, and the first draw I took, I looked at her and I said, oh my God. She's like, what? I was like, what cigar is this? And she goes, it's our Brotherhood. It's the very first cigar we rolled out. She's like, why? I was like, I just got a hint of Bubblicious gum. Like, where the heck did that come from? Like, our Brotherhood does not taste like Bubblicious gum, right? But it must have been something that I drank just prior to it or ate earlier, and I just didn't cleanse my palate, and it something triggered my memory as a child. I don't know, but it was wild. I was like, I'll never make fun of that individual that says he tasted lifesavers ever
Fruity
again.
Pebbles.
You know, Fruity Pebbles or
Cotton candy.
cotton candy. Just like, wow, where are you guys going with this? But yeah, like she pretty much nailed it. And I think adding what you're drinking, what you're eating can kind of throw that apricot flavor in there, right? Like,
Yeah.
where's that coming from?
Yeah, I mean, like what you ate for lunch, and then you go smoke a cigar. Like we're doing a pairing with a chef in a restaurant here, and Brew was meeting with him the other day, and he was trying to do like spicy foods with our new cigar that's coming out, which has a lot of spice and pepper notes. And I mean, you pair that with a spicy food. So, I mean, we've just learned that all does go hand in hand, but there's really only the true basic cocoa, espresso,
Yeah.
leather that you get out of tobacco leaves. So
The earthiness.
earthy.
You know, also it's funny. The whole time I've been smoking cigars since '96. I always thought it was pepper. You know, and then they broke it off into white pepper, black pepper, and I'm like, man, red pepper. And then talking with our new manufacturer, he's like, there's no such thing as pepper. It's salt that you're tasting. And I'm like, he goes, you ever go into the ocean, you dive into the water and you get that salt in your nose? And I was like, yeah. He's like, that's what you're tasting. It's not pepper. It's just people correlate it with it being pepper, but it's actually salt that you're tasting. I was like, damn, that's like telling me there's no such thing as Santa, you know, like I was thinking this whole time it was pepper. So, but yeah, there are just a few basic notes, just what your mind and your memory.
And everybody's palate's different.
Yeah.
I mean, I could sit here and smoke the same cigar you're smoking, and we could both get different notes off of the same cigar. So it's just everybody's individual palate is so different. It's just crazy to know.
That's what makes it so hard to recommend a cigar for somebody, because again, it's like recommending a drink. You know, my taste and my whiskeys or my bourbons is going to be different than somebody else. So
Yep.
How do you recommend a cigar to somebody when they're going to pick up different notes, their flavor palate's different? Which, before I cut out, I'm going to ask you, if you were to pick one cigar from your line to have someone try that you have confidence that would get them hooked on your cigars, what cigar would it be?
Mine would definitely be the Monge du Mat, the Brothers of the Sea, which is the start of our second core line. That to me would definitely is the cigar, not only because it's got exotic tobacco, and that's what, you know, because my brother and I'm a numbers guy. I crunch numbers. I'm all about the data, the analytics. And I had a conversation with him one time because I could see the sales, right? And I was like, hey, man, when you work at these events, we do have other cigars besides this new one, right? He goes, bro, he's like, I talk, and he does. And I sat back at one event and I watched him, and he'll talk about every cigar that we have. But as soon as he hits that new cigar and he talks about exotic tobacco, people automatically gravitate to it because they'll say, I've never had Zimbabwe tobacco.
Yeah.
So they're intrigued. They want to know what it tastes like, right? To me, it'd be the Monge du Mat, simply because of the notes that's in it and the exotic tobacco that's in it. I think that cigar would definitely get people on board with the Haze Gray brand and venture off into the more traditional cigars that we have.
And what about yourself?
So for me, I love both of our new blends, but our core line, and I feel like, and this is a cigar that he wasn't fond of. And myself and Pedro were like, he wanted to get rid of it. It was our 1996, which is our Barber Pole. I'm not a Connecticut Shade person. I feel like Connecticut Shade is a little bit more on the bitter side. But our Barber Pole is Connecticut Shade with the San Andreas Maduro blend, which I love the Maduro, the sweetness, the cocoa, the espresso. So I feel like the blend of the Connecticut Shade in that cigar with the San Andreas Maduro gives it a little bit more a richness to that Connecticut shade. And I absolutely love, that's my go-to cigar because it's a mild, but yet still a medium. So if we have somebody that comes in that isn't sure whether they want mild or they're like a first time cigar person, I'll push them to that barber pole because it's kind of a blend between the two, and it's a nice, smooth, creamy with the Connecticut, but then it's got a little bit of that pepper richness from the Maduro. So that's my favorite of our cigar. That's my go-to. I enjoy it with coffee. I enjoy it with IPAs. It's just a well-rounded cigar that I feel fits most palates for people who are first-time cigar smokers to people who are avid cigar smokers. It can appeal to their palate on both spectrums.
Okay, perfect. And with that, we're gonna cut you guys loose. And something I always say, time is the most expensive currency because we don't make it back. So I truly appreciate your time sitting down to have this conversation. Don't hesitate. Anything you want to send my way to share, collaborate on, send it my way. I'm always here to help work with everybody and help promote and share everything. It's a community at the end of the day. We can all rise together. There's no competition, And I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
I can't wait to try your cigars too.
Yep. When are you coming down to Florida?
I'm going to be stopping over. So I'm on my way to Colombia. I'm going to be stopping over in Orlando for 5 hours to go see our family friends on July 31st.
Okay. What I'll do is I'll send you down a sample pack for you to try, and I'll send it to the address that you shared.
Perfect. And you know what? I'll cut some promos. I'll be smoking them in the mountains of Bogota.
Sounds good to me. Heck yeah.
All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. You too. Have a great one. Appreciate you.
Peace.
Take care.
I want to send a special shout out, Cigar Talk Toronto. Special shout out to Croatian Mafia Cigars. It's for the gangster in you, nigga. It's for the gangsters. DJ Mikey G. Put some cut on that dope. Lefty Pacino. Take it personal. Take it personal. Click, clack the beam. Take it personal. I spit the caffeine. Take it personal. Feel what I mean? The 30R6 to M16s. We got them ruggin'. I'm your favorite uncle. I'm the alcoholic street niggas with the guns and the duffel. I'm the one that used to smoke the cigar and whip the truffle. The one that Granny said always started trouble. The back quarter shot a triple-double. Coach kicked me out the gym cause the gun was bigger than the muscle. Now let me introduce you to the hustle. I whip the white till it locked and snip the residue above my knuckles. The epitome of street scuffle. I hit him hard with the banger. I was trying to make the belt buckle. I hit the corner and I make it bubble. What's in the pocket of my goose will make your feathers ruffle. I don't trust you. Make the gauge bust you. We keep the circle tight. You just another square if we don't discuss you. Take it Take it personal. Click, clack the beam. Take it personal. I spit the caffeine. Take it personal. Feel what I mean? The 30R6 to M16s. We gotta plug in. Take it personal. Click, clack the beam. Take it personal. I spit the caffeine. Take it personal. Feel what I mean? The 30R6 to M16s. We gotta get pillage through your village. Leave my spillage on your mistress. Attacking everything you go on the hit list. Burn the evidence, witness. Told the lawyer eat the case with the biscuit. Looked the judge in the face and told him stick it. Smacked the plaintiff in the face and told him fix it. Tap the Henny on the bottom, then we lift it. Fully equipped, the blue beamer and it's kitted. Bend the corner 730, then we hit him. The bars leave a bad taste, so I spit them. Machete 50-50 sharp, so I split them. The black expedition put me in position. Focus on the mission, full tunnel vision. Every verse calculated, spoken with conviction. My condition is to grind every day by tradition. Built it from the dirt, self-made composition. Competition for using in every breath is ammunition. Take it personal. personal. Click, clack the bean. Take it personal. I spit the caffeine. Take it personal. Feel what I mean? The 30R6 to M16s. We gotta begin. Take it personal. Click, clack the bean. Take it personal. I spit the caffeine. Take it personal. Feel what I mean? The 30R6 to M16s. We gotta get. Take it personal. Take it personal.